Every life form except human beings operates by instinct in the genetic code. It has no multiple choice. Only humans have multiple choice. In the winter, the goose flies south. Why? Because he's a goose. Can't fly north, couldn't fly west. If you said to the goose, it'd be better to go west this year, he ignores that advice, keeps on flying south. Why? Has no alternative, has no other way. He is only driven. All life form is driven by instinct in the genetic code except human beings. Now, why not human beings? Because here it is. We've been given the dignity of choice. We're not like a robot. We're not stuck like a tree, using up all the nourishment, nothing left, now you die because you can't change location. Not true. Humans can go north, south, east, west. Humans can change, do anything they want to do. We've been given the dignity. But here's what's interesting about all life form except humans. Every life form except humans strives to the max of its potential. How tall will a tree grow? As tall as it possibly can. You never heard of a tree growing half as high as it could. No, that is impossible. A tree grows as high as it can, drives down every root it can, produces every leaf it can, extends itself as far as it possibly can. Every life form extends to the max, except human beings. Now, why not human beings? Because we're not robots. We've been given the dignity of choice. And here's a couple of alternatives on the dignity of choice. To be part of or all of. You have the potential to be. And you got the choice. Do a little to make yourself comfortable and forget the rest, or do it all. And there's nobody here to dictate you got to do it all. That's nonsense. You got to be rich because we live in a rich country. That's nonsense. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to do it all. You can do a little, do some more. Take advice, but don't take orders. Take information, take training, take teaching, but don't take orders from no one that tells you how you need to live and what you need to own and what you need to do. Somebody says, well, you need to be successful. That's a personal choice, being successful. What we teach is the possibilities, and everybody chooses. Take a little, take a lot, do some, do nothing. Ignore the subject. This is why I put this in here. You've got to learn to do that. Here's a good phrase. Affirmation without discipline is the beginning of delusion. Now, here's what else the truth does. First, it sets you free to correct old errors in judgment. Here's what else it does. Helps you to set up new, easy disciplines. To turn wrong into right. To turn lack into prosperity. To turn skepticism into faith. Now, let me give you the secret now to creating a hotel. The final secret is discipline. But in order to turn wrong into right, we must speak the truth. Because only the truth will set you free. Free to correct an error in judgment. Because here's the formula for failure and here's the formula for success. The formula for failure, number one, a few errors in judgment repeated every day. We call that the formula for failure. A few errors in judgment repeated every day. Now, why would you repeat an error in judgment the second day? Reason, failure doesn't occur at the end of the first day. If it did, it would be helpful, because then you wouldn't do that anymore. But errors in judgment are so subtle because they don't usually show their results until for a while. But a few errors in judgment repeated every day, and sure enough, you're way off course. Now, here's all you got to do to turn that around. A few simple disciplines practiced every day. A few simple disciplines practiced every day starts to create success. Not at the end of the first day. The first day is the end of a new beginning. The first day. That you started a new track, that you started a new direction. So we must all speak the truth. So affirm the truth. Yes, affirm God is good. Yes, affirm life is full of possibilities. Yes, affirm all the truthful possibilities. But you don't need to try to trick yourself into saying something is okay when it isn't okay. Some people say every day in every way I'm getting better and better. And if that's not true, see, that we call that delusion. If it's not true. If it is true, then it's wonderful. It's fabulous. We should celebrate. But if it's not true, every day in every way I'm getting better and better. See, if that's not true, then it is an affirmation that's destructive. So just affirm the truth. The truth is, I lack some skills to multiply my income by 10, which I wish to do in the future. I need to learn the skills. Affirm that you don't have the skills, so that it'll drive you to get the skills because you want to multiply your income by 10. Yes, it is true. All things are possible to the believer. It is true. Errors in judgment lead to devastation. We don't just need the truth. We need the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Here's what we don't need: delusion. You don't need delusion in order to try to make something out of nothing. All you need is this simple little formula: to imagine, because imagination is so powerful. It's the beginning of creating all things that we see. Then faith to believe it's possible. It says what? With faith, everything's possible. Without faith, nothing is possible. So that's a good study to make, creating faith to believe it's possible. But now we deposit faith and imagination into muscle, into discipline. Michelangelo was a genius, but it wasn't his genius that created this famous sculpture. But his genius was so strong and he believed in it so thoroughly that he picked up the chisel and the hammer. And it was the muscle and the chisel and the hammer that created the sculpture. And without the discipline, there would be no sculpture. But if you take your genius, if you take your ideas and your inspiration and your excitement and translate it into muscle, if you want good health, you can study every book there is, and you can believe that it's possible to be healthy. But until you fall on the floor and start doing the push-ups, until you jog around the block, right? Until you start working on your good health, working and laboring. Labor pains, we call it. You know, I'm short on personal experience on that, but the mothers in the room would tell us what? It's a unique experience. But why would an upcoming potential mother be willing to put herself through a rather painful experience of giving birth? Here's why. It creates new life. So add this to your repertoire of good ideas. New life only comes from labor. Now, some people try to create it with affirmation, but it doesn't work. New life only comes from labor. That's why we should devote most of our time to labor, because it's the miracle creator.
The fear of rejection is caused by a hyper-concern for the opinions of other people. In William Glasser's work on what they call the fully functioning person, he had a wonderful line. They said, fully functioning people, these are the top 10% of people, never complain and never explain. They never defend themselves. Is they do it or they don't do it, but they never feel that they have to explain themselves to anyone else. If someone doesn't like it, they say, and your point is, and they just don't care. And your job is to reach the point where you say, I like myself. I like myself. I'm responsible for my own life, and if someone doesn't like what I do or don't do, that's their problem. It's not my problem. And if you repeat this to yourself over and over again, you can actually reprogram yourself and cancel out and override all the previous programming that's generating these fears that you experience in your adult life.
I believe in human possibility, human potential, and I think that one of our biggest limiting beliefs is the belief of how limited we really are. And so my interest is to give people the science to begin to understand how powerful they really are. And I think that science really is the language that does that really well. And the new sciences like quantum physics and neuroplasticity, neuroscience, neuroendocrinology, psychoneuroimmunology, the mind-body connection, epigenetics, all of those sciences point the finger at possibilities. So I want to create a language for people from a philosophical or theoretical standpoint for them to begin to understand what's possible. But then I want to be able to have those people begin to wire that information in their brain completely, because learning is making new connections, right, in the brain. But remembering is maintaining and sustaining those connections, and it's so much easier to lose our vision than to remember it, right? So then we have to begin to hardwire the brain or install the neurological hardware in preparation for an experience. So the more people understand what they're doing and why, then the how gets easier. So I want to then set up the conditions in an environment, in a workshop where people can begin to apply or personalize what they learn so that they can have an experience. An experience then further enriches the brain. But the prize of an experience is an emotion. And once you start feeling unlimited, once you start feeling abundant, once you start feeling worthy, now you're teaching your body chemically to understand what your mind has intellectually understood. So knowledge is for the mind and experiences for the body, and people begin to embody the truth of that philosophy. Now, if they can repeat it over and over again, it'll become innate in them. It'll become natural. Second nature will become easy. They'll begin to master that philosophy. So I want people to begin to understand that thoughts are very powerful. Feelings drive our thoughts, and that they can begin to create a better life for themselves once they understand some of these principles.
So, Lord, there's one question I need to ask. Is it you that's bidding me to come? And Jesus gave a threefold answer that I want to close with. He said three things. Number one, fear not. Number two, it is I. Number three, be of good cheer. Now watch this. He told them what not to do. Don't be afraid. He told them who he was. It is I. He told them how to go into the challenge. Cheer up. Get excited. It's me. There's only one question you need to ask. Lord, what if I don't have enough to pay for it? Lord, what if I get out there and I start sinking? Lord, what if people start talking about me and laughing at me? Lord, that's not the question. There's only one question you need to answer. Lord, is it you? Have you told me to do this? Did you tell me to start this business? Did you tell me to dream this dream? Did you tell me to marry that person? Did you tell me to do? That's all you've got to ask. And if he told you, then the answer is twofold. Fear not and cheer up. Because if he said come, somebody said, well, but Peter started sinking. And you're right, he started, but he didn't finish. And some of you may be starting to sink, but you won't finish sinking, because before you look up, you'll see one walking on the water coming to see about you, and he'll reach down his hand and love will lift you up, and he'll say, let me show you what we can do together when you trust me without fear. But today, I proclaim over your life that in Jesus' name, you can be free from the fear that has been stopping you from crossing into your destiny and into the plans that God has for your life. How many of you received this morning?